Well, let's discuss this issue now. I've got Elizabeth O'Shea, who's from the support website Parent for Success, here with me, and we hope to be joined by another guest shortly as well, because this is an area of such debate within households as well, isn't it? I mean, is homework a good or a bad idea for younger children particularly?
Well, whether or not it's a good or a bad idea, most parents find their children are given homework. So, as the report said, the idea is that hopefully children won't be given too much. It's so important that at these younger ages they're still allowed to play and do fun things, interact with the family. But a small amount of homework, if it's well managed, and if the parent makes it fun, the last thing you want is big battles when your parent is going to be in charge of homework. And it's just horrible for a child. If you imagine a child who hasn't enjoyed school to then have to put in overtime at the end of the day, they can't quit, they can't not do it. The only thing a parent can do is move a child away from a school if they feel that there's too much homework or it's too onerous.
But can homework make that child do better in school and then ultimately better in exams and ultimately better be prepared for life?
Well, I think that's the very traditional idea. We've always thought that homework was a good idea, that it would help prepare children for exams. It does depend on the child, it depends on the school. If a school can manage without homework, actually the children love it. But if children do get homework, I would recommend parents get one of these, which is a timer. Get them in for 20 minutes, half an hour, set a timer, get the homework out of the way, and then they can enjoy the rest of the evening. And I have to say, I've worked with loads of parents at Parent for Success with the timer, and it changes people's lives. When they have to do homework, it makes such a difference. It takes the control away from the parent and puts it onto the timer, and then the child gets used to the idea of just doing that amount of homework.
Well, that's a very good tip. I'm making notes as you speak. But the fact is that, as you say, they do have to do homework. Can it be useful in terms of having one-on-one attention if a parent is around to help that child? Can that help, given that a lot of children have big classes and struggle to get that kind of attention?
It's really interesting you say that. Yes, it's really good for reading, for things that a parent is good at. A lot of parents struggle because they don't understand the homework that's set. They feel daft.
Or their methods might be outdated and they don't match the teacher's methods.
Exactly. So what I would always say is it's up to the school to set the right amount of homework for your child to complete in the time that they set. And you don't have to understand the homework. You just need to be around. You need to provide the desk, provide the equipment, do what the child needs to get that homework done. But then allow the school to set the homework, the school to take the responsibility of the child understanding the homework. You just facilitate it and you use the timer to time it so that they can then get that homework done.
And the age of the child is crucial here, is it not? I mean, the debate is really over whether primary school children should be doing homework or not. After that, there's less disagreement about it, although, as you say, disagreement over how much is the right amount. But
yes,
for primary school children, you talked about the importance of play. A lot of people would say that children learn as much about life from playing as they do from homework. So is there an argument for saying no homework until you start secondary school?
Well, there is. I was really lucky. My children had very little homework in primary school. I feel it gave them a childhood and it then allowed them to take off later on. The thing is, in China, children are hothoused. They go straight from school, primary school, straight to homework classes that last for several hours. And we may be falling behind. I think the balance is the happy medium in between. A little bit where the parent is positive, kind, friendly and supportive, and where the child knows that once that time has gone off, their homework's done and they can enjoy life. But don't then move them straight onto screens or TV. Spend time interacting with them, playing with them, having fun with them, so that they can get all the social skills that they need as well as a child.
And for any child, older or younger, can it be useful to have that time where a child processes what they've learnt in class? So they've learnt in a big group, has a bit of time to concentrate on their own and work out whether or not they've got it or not. I mean, can that be useful in itself?
Yes, and discussions around the family meal table or later on in the evening. When your child comes home from school and you say, what happened at school today? They can't even remember, they're still processing. Later on in the evening, they're much more willing to talk. And that's the time to discuss things and to talk about more openly about it, so that home learning becomes more fun, more interesting and more engaging for the parent and the child.
Well, Elizabeth O'Shea, we were intending originally this to be a discussion. We had problems with the line, but I can now tell you that Professor Susan Hallam can join us. You said there's not really a dispute about the value of homework for older children. So there is agreement, is there, that for children beyond the age of 11, homework is a good thing? It will help them?
Yes, and particularly as they're coming up to examinations, the evidence suggests that on the whole, the more homework they do, the better they do in exams. But there is a caveat there that sometimes overlearning, if you like, there's a point at which they know things, they understand how to do things. If they then keep doing homework beyond that, it won't actually improve what they're doing, you know, or the improvements will be so small they won't actually exhibit themselves in exam results. So there's a sort of consensus around 2.5 to 3 hours in an evening is probably the maximum, and if people start doing 5 or 6 hours, it's probably not going to help. And of course what happens then is children get exhausted, they get stressed, and that can then be very counterproductive, particularly when exams are coming up, because we know that some children get so anxious about exams, they can have panic attacks or get migraines and all that kind of thing.
Well, yes, and Elizabeth O'Shea, would you agree with that? I mean, 5 to 6 hours sounds like a huge amount. I certainly never managed to get my children to do anything like that.
No, and that's too much. Children do need a life. They need a balance of activities. Closer to exams, you understand children getting caught up with sort of like exam preparation and things. It's important, though. What we've got to remember is we want to instill a love of learning in our children. That's the benefit of homework, where you bring homework into the home environment and they can explore around a subject. And that's where parents can come in, making it fun, making it interesting. But 5 or 6 hours of homework would be way too much for any child to endure and would just be ridiculous in terms of a child's normal development.
And just to end on that thought from that child in the report, that child who said, it's just waste my time at the weekends. I love that. Elizabeth O'Shea, lovely to meet you. Thanks very much indeed. Thanks to Professor Susan Hallam, and thanks for being patient with our communication issues. We appreciate it.